Welcome back to the How to Use Famitracker series. In this lesson, I'm going to dive into the creative process that I had behind two songs that were written for the Three Red Hearts album. Now, I'm by no means an expert at Famitracker, but I hope that talking about my process will inspire you to make your own things. In the video description, I have included links to the two Famitracker projects I'll be talking about here. Now, please understand that these files are licensed under Creative Commons attributions. You're allowed to remix and share these files freely as long as my name and website are still attached to it. If you make a rad remix, though, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'd love to hear it. So with all that out of the way, I'll start talking about Save the City. Actually, I'll just play it first, and then we can talk about it afterward. So this song came about because of playing around with the loop duty noise and finding this initial descending bass line. So you can see that I used just a really basic loop for the duty noise to create this kind of grungy sounding bass line. It gave me this feeling of like a big monster or something emerging from the water and plodding towards a metropolis or something like that. I included the triangle channel to just kind of accentuate the tone, because the tone for this pulse channel is kind of ambiguous. So it also gave the notes a lot more like weight and mass and feeling to it. When I wrote this song, I was just getting started with instrument juggling inside Famitracker, and I wanted to see kind of how far I could take that. Keeping these long, sustained notes while having more complex rhythms and everything else going on top of them was like a really big mental challenge, but it was a lot of fun. This track also gave me a really new appreciation for the noise channel and kind of the crazy sounds that you can make with it. Most of the time I tried to create like whooshes and pings to convey action and movement around the monster. And I used the triangle channel to help like bolster the percussion when more important hits needed to happen. So looking at the triangle channel here, you can see I'm actually incorrectly using some of the V commands over here. Yeah, because this is all V0 and V2 and V3. I was not using those correctly. But, you know, I was just learning at the time. But right here, I use this V1, and you can see how the tone shifts. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with the noise channel. And there's a lot of juggling going on, too. Yeah, like this sustained noise gets bounced back and forth throughout this. So the arpeggio in the song that comes in around here, I think. Oops. The arpeggio that comes in is representative of like the hero or the good guy that's going to fight the monster. Something that is strong and solid with a very structured rhythm is kind of what I was going for to counterbalance the monster's chaotic, grungy sound. And, you know, this kind of seems a little over analytical sometimes, but, you know, that's okay too. I find that when I'm writing these songs, just like writing the stories, even if they're just in my head, that ends up giving the song a lot more character and just propulsion forward. Like I kind of know what's going to happen next, and that helps drive the song. So there's a brief break in the song right here where there's only 2 bars rather than the standard 4. And this is kind of like the 2 opponents squaring off in the middle of town. This moment of calm actually helps raise tension quite a bit by offering a bit of contrast compared to the build-up before it. This section also only lasts 2 bars, which breaks up the 4-bar loop, and that really helps make the song feel a lot more unstable compared to the rest of it as well. So this is finally where like the 2 monster and the hero starts fighting each other. Like any combat scene, things start really simple and continue to build and build. I establish a simple bass and rhythm and continue to layer more and more complexity on top of it. One thing I learned while writing this track was that little mini breaks in the action really help give the listener a chance to fill in the blanks with like punches or throws or whatever in their own mind. It helps guide when things should happen, not exactly how they happened. So it's like it allows the listener to create their own story while they're listening. Without these little breaks and shifts in tone, it would be kind of just wall-to-wall action, and that would probably tire the listener's ear pretty quickly. Near the peak of the song, the hero's arpeggio actually comes back. Let me try to find that. Yeah, so we have all of this, and then the hero's arpeggio actually comes back, and this actually does 2 important things. So it does 2 important things. First, it gives the impression that the hero is winning, like overcoming all of this chaos. And second, it actually gives the song a lot more stability and rhythm again, since everything was so disjointed. Having a very solid arpeggio really helps bring everything back into place. In the end of the song, we're left with the same notes we kind of started with. And it's kind of up to the listener to decide whether or not the monster won and is like trampling the city, or if it lost and is like returning to the sea. Yeah. So I designed all the songs in 3 red hearts to loop. And I think that was important just because I was making video game music and I wanted it to like feel like it was part of a video game. So aside from the monster's instrument, most of the sounds in this song are actually really basic. I guess that's really mostly my personal preference. I like keeping things pretty simple and harmonic rather than trying to just blast out a bunch of noise. This track was really a fantastic exploration of Famitracker's noise channel and learning how to juggle instruments. So the next song I wanted to talk about is also from the 3 Red Hearts album called Sanctuary. Now, rather than Save the City, which was based off a story I had in my head, I wrote Sanctuary based on kind of a feeling of what I wanted. And I'm going to play through this song, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. So I've always been an ambient and down-tempo musician. And when I started using Famitracker, I was super curious how well I could create a song like that in Famitracker. That was more about expressing a relaxing mood than, Famitracker and chiptunes are generally known more for their like super upbeat and buoyant sounds. Because I was so limited with channels, I really couldn't rely on complex chords like a modern DAW, and I had only raw waveforms to work with, which were inherently tough to sound smooth. I did end up importing or using the Konami VRC6 expansion chip to give me access to more notes for chords. When making my pads, I started the notes quietly and faded them in and out using the A effect. So let me just show you this. There's a cat down there. And I also have the triangle channel to offer some reinforcement for that. Now, the triangle channel doesn't have volume modification, so I had to make sure that it was the right octave. If it was too low, it would sound too bassy and loud. If it was too high, it would be too piercing right away. So this octave 2 really helped a lot. To the listener, this gives the ears a brief moment to prepare and acclimate to the chord change, which kind of smoothed out the pad and made it feel more rounded in the overall mix. This song also has a very deliberate and simple chord progression. It's B minor to G major. It's actually one of my favorite chord progressions because of how versatile and emotive it can be. If you played both chords at the same time, you basically got G major 7, meaning you could really do fun things like keeping the arpeggio the same while switching chords around without worrying about creating dissonance between the chords. I added the arpeggio to the song, this pulse 1 and the echo, which is right here. I added this arpeggio to help give the song momentum and forward movement. Having the chords cycle back and forth was really pretty with the pads, but it didn't feel like anything was really happening. At the end of each arp section, I extended the flourish with an echo effect, and thankfully I had this second pulse channel free to make this happen, otherwise it would have been a really big mess in there. The echo also helps open up the song's space a little bit more. So having the echo here allowed me to do cool stuff like actually echoing the pitch bend as well, which would not have really been possible if I was just using one channel. So I was thankful to have that luxury. One thing I really worked hard on with this song was the snare, actually. I wanted it to be really loud or large and open, but still have enough punch with it to tie the song together and to continue driving everything forward. The snare had a very hard initial strike and a really, really long drop off. You see this as the size is 22. And then I also pitch bent the snare up quite a bit, like it's going up 3 semitones. And this gives the impression of echoing and reverberation in a physical space. So let's solo this. So you can hear the snare pitch going slightly up as it keeps going, and that really helps create the feeling like it's just opening up over time. This was also the song where I discovered hat rolls, and I talked about those, I believe, in the percussion lesson. And I used them quite a lot here. Yeah, there's one right here. And they were so much fun to use. I'm really glad that I found this trick, because it creates that sense of movement and space without having to create a new instrument and make some weird volume envelope for it. With the triangle channel in this track, I've focused on really simple and basic sweeping notes. Like you'll notice that this is just one really held note going back between B and G and then finally A and C sharp here. And then things get a little bit more complicated as we move forward, but really it's just bouncing up and down with octaves. And lots of pitch bends. There's pitch bends everywhere. Finally, the lead in the sawtooth channel comes in halfway through the song. Like many other parts of this song, the lead flows through most of its melody using pitch bends rather than jumping quickly between notes. This actually took kind of a bit of math to make sure things were going the right way, like up a step, down a major third, so forth. It's also pretty important to note that how quiet this lead actually is. Like, it starts at 3 and then it fades in fairly quickly, but I don't think it gets really above 6 or maybe 7. And this is because higher frequency notes are often perceived as louder by the listener's ear. If this was set at max volume, it would really drown out the whole mix. So when it comes to chiptunes, it's always important to be aware of how high or low a channel is going, like pitch-wise, and adjust the volume accordingly. Sanctuary ended up as one of my favorite songs in the Three Red Hearts album just because of how unique and different it is compared to most chiptune music I've heard in the past. If you're interested in hearing the whole album, I do have the link to my Bandcamp in the video description below. If you have any questions for me about these songs or anything else, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me through the comments below or through my Twitter above. If you found this video interesting, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel because I'm always planning on creating more stuff like this in the future. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.